スタジオ3万
Everyone is so obsessed with that Lady Dimitrescu or whatever her name is.
I saw something on Reddit. I think it's probably a joke. It said there's more polygons in her butt than there were in the entirety of the original Resident Evil on the PlayStation.
Wow.
I don't think that's going to be true, but I really like to think that that is. Hello and welcome to this week's edition of the Nerd OD podcast with Dan
And Reg.
and no Sean again as always, but never mind, you're all used to that by now, right?
Are you talking to me or the audience?
The audience.
Then I think the answer is yes to both.
Exactly. So how are you, Reg?
I'm alright, sir. Apart from the fact I keep thinking it's payday and it's not. It's driving me insane.
Well, by the time this goes out, it will be.
Woohoo!
You'll be rolling in it.
Oh, there's 3 seconds.
Yay. Adult life.
Gotta love it.
Yeah, welcome to the Adult Life podcast, where we discuss everything that is depressing about not being 18 years old.
I keep going through fits and starts where I'm like, you know what, I'd love to be young again and just like go through it.
If you knew then what you know now, like your mind got transported into your, let's say, 14-year-old self, what would you do differently?
Oh, that is a very hard decision. Because 14 would be a difficult one. Knowing everything I'd know now, I would want to keep the same trajectory because then I wouldn't have met you guys.
Okay.
I wouldn't be doing this. I wouldn't have the Florida addiction.
You might have had it earlier.
I don't think I would have done because I would never, until you start regaling tales about how awesome the Hulk was and going to all the towers with you, like continuously.
I love that you've got this huge life-altering gift of going back in time by 20 odd years, and you're just like, I mean, I wouldn't have gone to Florida, so I don't want to miss that.
I wouldn't know that because that start like hanging around with you started. It sounds weird and really like but like it massively altered my life.
Fair
hanging
enough.
around with you compared to what I was doing beforehand. Before hanging around with you, I was literally sitting at home playing WoW all day. Like when I wasn't working, it was WoW and Shenmue just non-stop, just playing on games. Literally, instead of using money to go on holiday, I was like, why would I want to do that when you go away for like 2 weeks and then you've spent a good couple of grand when I could like buy the new console or buy a load of new games and play with that and just go to the pub every now and again. And like holidays and stuff never fazed me, never interested me, wasn't bothered about it all. And then met you, we started going Alton Towers loads. And I was like, this is really fun.
Okay.
Like, this is quality.
Going to gigs.
And then we went to gigs. And then it was like, Alton Towers got me the addiction to the theme parks. And you're like, oh, you got to try the Florida ones. And I was like, one day. And then we went and I was like, holy shit, this is the best thing ever. I don't want anything less than doing this every year. And it just became a thing that I absolutely fucking like live for.
All right.
So
this is the thing, you can start it earlier. I think you're not being grand enough here.
I think the only thing I would probably change is after leaving game, I would probably choose a different career rather than go into debt collection and credit card activations and now recruitment. I think I would try and focus on something that I actually really enjoyed.
Would you start podcasting at 14 and being like, this is the future?
I reckon we could, I reckon
we could kick that. We could beat Ricky Gervais to it.
100%. And I think we would be a lot more entertaining back then as well than what some of them were when they first initiated it.
When did IGN launch?
Could you imagine?
It's a weird one. I think I saw this question ages ago, like months ago, a year maybe, on Reddit, and loads of people were like, "Oh, I'd become a millionaire pretty easily because I would put a bet on this sporting event that I remember that happened and blah blah blah." And I started thinking, what like my memory is terrible, or my interest in anything of importance that could get me a lot of money is non-existent. So I don't know any, like, since I was, let's say 12, 14, whatever. I can't think of a single like sporting event or event that you would put money on that I know the answer to. Like I know the winner. Like I couldn't go if you said to me who won the World Cup in 2002 or whatever. I don't know when there was one that year. I wouldn't have a clue. I would probably guess Brazil or France or something like that, but it's still, I have no idea.
Imagine sticking all your money, go like, yep, this is it, exactly, and then getting the wrong answer. You're like, oh no,
no, that was the next one. That's why I don't follow football. I mean, maybe number ones. Maybe I could go a Christmas number ones. That they take money on that, don't they? Take bets on that.
It is, but then you'd have to you'd want to do something ridiculous like when what are they called? My mind's going completely blank. Rage Against the Machine, when that hit number one.
When someone hits number one that they don't expect.
Yeah, that you don't expect it. Do that. Stick a load of cash in and be like, I reckon this is going to be it. But then when you're 14, you've got to wait like 12 years or something ridiculous in order for that to kick off.
Yeah.
So it's like, how long?
Find a partner in crime and be like someone who's old enough and be, look, like happens in the movies when they sit down with someone and they say to them, look, I'm from the future, or I've been stuck in a time loop, and they're like, oh, that's rubbish. And then, all right, that person's going to drop a tray, that person's going to sneeze, this person's going to come in then, and then everything happens.
Yeah.
I could find someone and do that to them.
I reckon I could do that to you, but I don't think you'd be like, right, okay, I believe all of this. However, okay. I don't want to put any money down on anything. And I'd be like, but mate,
it doesn't have to be much.
We could do this. And you'd be like, nah. Because genuinely, I could, there's so many things I could tell you about you in the past and stuff that I would have no idea that you would have no idea that I would have known apart from you telling me it all and that sort of stuff. And you'd easily be able to get through that. But it's just knowing how tight-fisted you are with money when it comes to it. I'd be like, mate, trust me on this one. You'd be like, no, I'm sorry. I want to believe you and I'll be with you all the way, but I'm not putting any money down on it. And I'm like,
well, you say that, but like it didn't take that much convincing for me to put a bit of money into crypto when Sean started making money. So, and plus I think, is it you that's always said if you won the lottery, you would give your closest friends, like you would split it between, because there's no point in you being, exactly. I know it's one of us. Yeah. No point in being the one person who has £10 million when all your friends are still having to work 5 days a week. You want to give them enough money to quit their job so you can at least go, all right, I'm going to Florida. Do you want to come? Yeah, great. Okay. There you go.
That is right. So what I would do if I won the lottery, say I won, let's say, the 15 million or 20 million, whatever the euros is, that's what I would put the money on, because that's the one that earns the most compared to the normal lottery and stuff.
Yeah.
So I'll do that. I'll make sure everyone had, like maybe 1.2 to 2 mil of my close friends and family. So we've all got like a good amount. I would buy my house in Golden Acres in Florida.
Right.
In there, right behind Disney.
Okay.
And then I would literally put the rest in trying to launch this as a thing.
Okay.
Like as everyone sort of jobs.
Beating everyone to the punch. Everyone gets the job.
You want to do it.
Okay.
So that way then everyone has money, but also has the ability to do what they want to do with their life. So we could take this and just make it what we've always dreamed it to be, which would be amazing. And we'll be able to like live stream from our mansion in the Florida, right behind Disney, do it in Disney and Universal when I'm not using.
Everyone has an annual pass.
That's it. Yeah, it would just be amazing. And I would, if we had enough, I'd also open up a bar, and I'd have that bar where we have like, a stage where we do live music all the time and podcasting and just everything. It would just be
and
awesome.
You would. Are we still in like you're in your future self in your younger body here, or is this just if you won the lottery?
Those are just have won the lottery. But if I had it both ways, then yeah, 100%.
If you went back into your 14-year-old body and then you became 18 or whatever, and you happened to have this fortune that you'd managed to get from gambling on everything you knew happened, and then you opened your bar, you could then invite all these musical acts that were tiny at the time, like that you love in the future, and invite them all to play on your little stage in a bar in Florida.
100%.
There you go.
It would be amazing.
Yeah. With resident musician Liam Frost.
You know it.
Yeah.
You know it. And I would stop Stephen Page taking drugs. That would be one of my other things to do as well. I'd like, instead if you go in
and Robin meme, wouldn't it? It'd be just like, no.
Yeah. It's like, instead of you taking drugs, why didn't you come do residency here or some solo stuff instead? It's like, yeah, I'll do that.
Yeah. I'll do that instead of drugs.
Exactly.
The problem there is, Reg, because they split up, you now get double the albums.
You
know, and granted, one album doesn't count because it was just the worst thing that anyone's ever recorded onto CD in the form of that Bare Naked Ladies album that doesn't exist. But still.
However, it did give us You Run Away, which is one of my all-time favourite Bare Naked Ladies songs.
One good song on it, fair enough.
Yeah.
Yes.
But then I wouldn't have known it would be amazing if I was 14. No, because I would have known.
It would, because it's your mind from the future, exactly. But then you got to be very careful not to alter the course of any of these acts. Like, imagine if you brought, so for people who aren't aware, Liam Frost is a kind of a local Manchester musician who me and Reg love. And he's been signed to various labels. He's had 3 albums out. Also has formed a band twice and stuff like that. And he's amazing. And if you haven't listened to him, go and listen to him. But you know, he's never really done anything big. But he recorded those albums because they're all very based on his life. You know, his life growing up around Manchester and stuff, and his family. So if you, at the age of 14 or whatever, pay him a load of money to fly him over to be resident in your bar, suddenly he doesn't have any of those experiences.
Yeah, imagine how weird his music would be if I just drag him out of that. It would be, you know, when we found...
never get out of his emo phase.
Yeah, I was going to say, when we found that emo, that would be insane. That would be awesome.
Yeah, you've got to be very careful. Don't alter the future, because then you don't get what you wanted. It's tricky. But yeah, I always just thought, like, I would be completely wasted on the whole, like, you know, getting the sports almanac and putting bets on like Biff did, because like I just don't know any of that sort of stuff. I don't know who won what, so I'd be like, oh well, let's just repeat the same mistakes I made the first time.
Yeah,
never mind, never mind. Anyway, I don't even know how we got onto that little sidetrack, but that was good. I like it.
I know, and now it's all I can think about now. So we might have a different podcast.
Fair enough. Well, I mean, we've got plenty to talk about. Obviously, we're fully exhausted on E3 stuff now, finally, after talking about it for 2 weeks, one of which didn't get released because the quality was terrible. But yeah.
In both E3 and audio quality.
Exactly. So, you know, we've had a couple of comments this week on our YouTube videos, on 2 really old videos. One... we went to when Resident Evil 7 came out, we went to a thing they did in London called the Resident Evil Experience, which was like an escape scare maze type thing. It was the most amazing scare maze and most amazing escape room I've ever seen. I've never seen it anywhere else that does anything as good as this was. But it was on for 2 days, and I think each day there was only maybe about 20 I say couples, I don't mean couple, I just mean 2 pairs of people, let's say, who got to do it. So there's probably only about 80 people total who got to experience this thing over the 2 days. And someone commented on it saying, do they still have this in London? I've only just heard of this now. And I just replied saying, yeah, no, sorry, it was only for 2 days. And explained it all. And he said, I just stumbled on it now. For now, thanks for taking the time to share your experience online with us. I hope they do one for the village. I was just thinking, that's been a lot, right?
Now too.
But what reason I wanted to bring that up? Imagine if COVID wasn't a thing and they could have done that. Like the Resident Evil 7 one, they found this old rundown house literally in the middle of London, just this terrace block, and one of them was this house that clearly no one's touched for years and years and years, because I don't believe that they put that much effort into making it look horrible and mucky. It just seemed to be like that already. It was just a state. So, and that kind of fit with that world. But imagine doing the village. Like, you wouldn't do that in London. You'd find somewhere in the Lake District or something, somewhere in the forest, find an old rundown shack and turn that into it. Can you imagine how amazing that would be?
Mate, I absolutely shit myself the entire way through the Resident Evil 7 experience. The village one would literally probably have me going fetal. It would be amazing, though. It genuinely would be amazing. Like, to this day, I still think about how amazing that experience was. Like, hiding up in the loft when Mama was popping around, and like hiding in the boxes and behind chests and stuff, and when you were invited down for the meal, and it was just, oh my god, it was insanely creepy.
The weirdest thing about that. So I mean, in Resident Evil 7, there's the mum, isn't it? She sort of stalks you throughout the game, right? Am I right with that?
It's Jack who mainly does that. The mum is out and about, and you do fight her and destroy, and she is creepy as all hell.
Right. That's what this bit was. It was, we'd escaped from the two, from the dad and the son, who is sort of like these redneck hillbillies, and they covered the dad poured gravy all over himself and rubbed himself up against me. It was wonderful. It was just after I poisoned them, obviously I had to sneak away and poison their drink, which it was so immersive. It was amazing. But then the next room, we got in there, and then the phone rang. You pick the phone up, and it's like, she's coming, hide. I slammed the phone down and like, Reg, we've got to hide. And the fact, you hid in a box, I hid behind a chair, and then you just heard this noise of this old woman searching around the room. And I guarantee she was in, full costume, full makeup and everything, for something that you never actually saw because you were hiding.
Yes.
I was just thinking, like, the amount of effort they probably went into for that character. But yeah, and I'm curious if she was allowed to find you, and if that changed the story. But it was so good, and I can't believe they only did it for such a short period of time and in one place. Yeah, we were very, very, very lucky to get to do that. But one for the village, I could just see that being, twice as scary, just because you dump you in the middle of the forest, run it between like midnight and 6 a.m. or something like that, so it's pitch black. Oh man, that would have been good.
I think the only downside to doing the village one is everyone is so obsessed with that Lady Dimitrescu or whatever her name is, that everyone would be wanting to be found and just ruin experience by going, murder me.
That's it. I saw something on Reddit. I think it's probably a joke, but I would like to think that it's not. It said there's more polygons in her butt than there were in the entirety of the original Resident Evil on the PlayStation.
Wow.
I don't think that's going to be true, but I really like to think that is the case.
Yeah. The thing is, it probably is true.
Yeah.
That's the sad thing.
Absolutely. Anyway, I did something very exciting this week, Reg. Last week I was on a game show. The week before that, I was gallivanting around Wales. I went to see Fast and Furious 9 for some reason. I don't think I've got that much to say about it, but I feel like there's a couple of interesting things to bring up. So we really like our bad movies, right? Movies that are so bad that they know that they're bad, and that is the point. So your, shark / whatever movies, Sharktopus, Sharknado, things like that. So bad they're good. Rubber, The Room, anything like that. Because they're self-aware. They're like, I know that I am so stupid that I'm just going to lean into it. And that's what makes them good, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The Fast and the Furious has always been a bad movie series in that, well, I'd say always. First movie completely about racing, second movie same thing, Third movie, same thing. Fourth movie, oh, okay, for some reason they're now, it's Ocean's 11 with cars. All right, let's take it a step further. Now it's Mission Impossible with cars, and that's what the rest of the series has been. And it's always been a case of let's just outdo itself. And I do feel like the writer, who apparently has written every single one except the 3, if I remember right, he knows, at least once they changed into this new style of movie, I think he knew exactly what he was doing. It was just a case of let's just try and up ourselves each time, to the point where there was that meme going around about, Fast and the Furious 10, they go to space. Like, yeah, at some point, that'll be hilarious.
Yep, and then they did it in 9.
Yeah. So this one, it's not written by the usual guy. It's the same director as normal, but it's a completely different writer. And it is almost like this writer has gone, right, that's it. Let's just completely lean into this thing. But to such an extent where it's just so over the top and bad that there's people are getting thrown around like they're action figures. There's about 3 people that get caught by cars. So they're on top of a truck that's sliding down a hill and about to go over a cliff, and then they jump off and a car comes in and does a little spin, and they land on the bonnet, and like, oh, they're fine, great. That happens about 3 times. So I've never watched one of them more than once, because I wouldn't say I'm a fan of them, but I've watched all of them and I've gone, stupid, but a bit kind of entertaining. So, like I say, I'm in no way a fan of it, but this one just took it to its absolute extreme and was just so bad. And I was sat there thinking, like, can you imagine if you okay, let's look at this time travel thing again. So you're 18, 19-year-old. In fact, I think it was around 2000, 2001 that the first one came out. So let's say I was 19 and I watched the first Fast and the Furious. Did you see it at the cinema? Because back then it wasn't like a bit of a thing to be ashamed of. It was like, it was this film about car racing.
So it came out when obviously Need for Speed, Underground stuff came out. So I was massively into them. So like Gone in 60 Seconds, I was all about that.
Oh, yeah,
then like Fast and Furious and stuff, I was like, oh yeah, this will be cool. Yeah. And I didn't mind the first one.
Yeah, exactly. And I remember there having to be warnings to people to be like, don't do what they do in the films when you leave the cinema. And I remember stepping out the cinema, getting into the car around the back in the car park, and just hearing 2 or 3 cars at least just going, burning their tires on the ground. Just 'cause, all the locals just wanted to get into that. But okay, aliens come down right after you've watched the first Fast and the Furious, and they take you up onto their ship. They do experiments on you for 20 years, and then they dump you back on the planet Earth, and you're like, right, what do I want to do now? And you walk past the cinema and it says Fast and the Furious 9, and you're like, whoa, Fast and the Furious 9, I love the first one. And you go in and watch it, and like your head would explode. Like, you're just like, what on earth has happened to this film series? It is it's completely like the opening scene, as with every single one, is Vin Diesel and his missus, and now their kid going, oh yeah, we've retired from this life, that's all in our past. Now we're just going to look after my kid and grow up on a farm and everyone will be happy. And then suddenly, oh no, something bad has happened. I'm going to get dragged back into it. And every time they try and find another reason to bring him in, and this time I don't even care about if I spoil it. I think all this is spoiled in the trailer. Pretty much everything is given away in a trailer. But oh no, his brother, who we had no idea existed because they've never mentioned him in a single other film, even though they brought his sister into it. So you'd think at some point they go, oh yeah, remember our brother? No, they bring him in, and he's John Cena. And so he's like, all right, I'm gonna have to go and stop all these guys. And then it's literally just like Mission Impossible. And for some reason, his brother is exactly the same as Vin Diesel. He works for like the bad guys. He's IMF, and I forget, the Syndicate, whatever. He's got the same skills, really good at driving. He's got all these vehicles with like magnets and just explosives and everything. It makes absolutely no sense, but it is almost like paint by numbers. Let's make a really cheesy bad action film. but it doesn't cross over into that so bad it's good. It's just really, really awful.
Yeah, I don't even know why it happened. I watched heard a couple of videos. In fact, it was yesterday. I was watching a video on YouTube while I was working, and then and just like up next, and it just plays something automatically, and it was about the ending and why no one ever is really dead in Fast and Furious franchise,
never. And no one's ever really permanently a baddie.
Yeah, so I was just like, what's going on? I was like, this guy died, this guy did this. And then I was like, hang on a minute, I need to skip this because I'm not interested. And then I went to go into the YouTube page and there's a clip from the film where they're swinging the car from a vine. And I was
well,
right, no interest whatsoever.
I'm going to describe this to you because they go to find this plane that's crashed that the guy who runs this organization that they kind of work for, and it's in the middle of a jungle, and they're like, oh, the local government, the military don't like anyone, so if they find us, we are dead. And then suddenly the military find them, and there's this big chase through the jungle, and then John Cena turns up and tries to steal this component of some bomb that they've been sent to go and get, and they're like, the only way we can get away, we need to cross the border, but the border's in the sea, but it looks like there's a bridge. Okay, let's go for that bridge. Turns out it's a rope bridge. Okay, and there's at least 3 cars heading towards this. One car is going for it. One car decides to drive straight across it. Just as it goes across, another car smashes into the one of the things that's holding the bridge up, and the bridge starts collapsing, but the car is still driving up this rope bridge, like defies all laws of physics, and then gets over the other side. But fortunately, one of the ropes is still there, so Vin Diesel goes, I've got this, and then he doesn't just drive towards it. For some reason, he sets off his NOS, the booster from the first one, sets that off, drives into it. Like, it's not like he hits a jump or anything. He just drives into it, and then suddenly the rope goes and grabs onto the tire. Again, this is in the trailer. And then, you see the car literally swing across, flip over, land the right way up, obviously. That happens 2 or 3 times, actually. There's a couple of things where there's a truck that's driving upside down, and they smash into it, and it flips over and then lands the right way up and carries on driving. But the one thing that I feel like they really... the writer at least was like, right, I'm just going to reference here that this is ridiculous. One of the characters at the very beginning survives a big car crash, and then he's in this sort of ruins of this temple, and then about 15 bad guys all run in, all with machine guns, and he's got this one machine gun. He's got a bulletproof vest on, and he's like, I'm going to die here, and they all start shooting him, and then he suddenly pulls out his machine gun, kills them all. And granted, he gets shot 2 or 3 times because he has all these bullet holes and dents in his bulletproof vest, but he survives. And then he gets into another car. That car falls down a cliff. It gets stuck between 2 rocks. It's about to fall on top of a mine. He manages to climb out the car. The car gets blown up and then nearly lands on top of him. He survives all this stuff. And then he has this conversation with it's Tyrese. He has a conversation with Ludacris, and he's like, I think we're invincible, guys. Like, just think about everything. It's like we're in a movie, because every single time something happens, you think this guy's dead, and no, look, I survive. And then, everyone dismisses him, but the audience is there going, it's all a bit weird. And then this all obviously pays off at the end when they go into space, and they've got to blow up this satellite, and they give this stupid reason as to why they can't just ram the satellite. They've got to hack it. But then something goes wrong, and they decide, we've got no choice. We're going to have to smash into it. And he goes, it's okay. Don't forget, I'm invincible. Even though we'll run out of fuel and we won't be able to get our rocket back down to Earth, we will survive because I'm invincible. And turns out, he survives. Spoilers. It's really not the greatest. I mean, it's a fairly moderately entertaining passage of 2 hours of your time, but I think there's better at the minute. Go and watch A Quiet Place 2 if you haven't.
Well, I don't think we talked about this on on the pod, but I watched that Fatherhood.
Oh yeah.
Last week. Yeah. Over the weekend with Kevin Hart. He helps sort of write it and direct it as well. In terms of this, and it was only because it was on one of the dad pages, and they were saying it was like a proper gut punch, but
this is on Netflix, right?
Yeah, like in a beautiful way. And it was number one in Netflix for a while, trending. And we've run out of stuff to watch, and we started watching Sweet Tooth on Netflix, which is really good, to be fair. Rather enjoying it. But
is a DC.
It's one of those shows where Ash can't watch it when it's too close to bedtime, because she gets so into it and it gets so intense that she's like, I can't sleep.
Right. Okay.
So we end up having to put something else on to try and like calm down towards the end of it. So we've got like 2 episodes left now to watch of that, and really enjoying it, because it's nice to have a post-apocalyptic thing that's not dank and dreary and just like so boring to crack on with. With this, it's actually really colourful, bright. The locations most of them are stunning, and it's very colourful and eye-popping and funny and charming. And it's like when I was saying with Lock and Key, where it feels like it's a kid thing, but then all of a sudden something adult happens and you're like, oh god, right, okay, maybe don't watch this with kids. It's like that. It feels like it should be a very kiddie thing. And then every now and again something really dark happens and you're like, right, okay.
Am I right? So there's a disease that goes around that means that babies are coming out as sort of human animal hybrids.
Yeah, so the hybrids come around, but there's also something like a disease going around. It's literally just murdering people. It just like kills people, this disease thing. But it's very contagious, this as well. So if you're in the same area as someone else, there's a very high possibility that you're going to catch it.
Okay. And I'm guessing the hybrids are the only things that are immune to it.
So I believe so, in terms of this. But yeah, so there's 2 sides of the tale. You've got the one with Sweet Tooth, the kid who's the hybrid, who is on a journey to try and find his mum. Who's like miles and miles and miles and miles and miles away. And then you've got another one, which is like following the doctor who's trying to find the cure for it all and sort everything all out. And that side of it is boring, because it's very normal sort of post-apocalyptic type thing where, you know, everyone's out for each other and it's the generic fare of that, whereas the Sweet Tooth side of it's really fun. And just when I was like, you know what, I need this bit to be over so we can crack on and enjoy like the Sweet Tooth bit, it just took a turn and I was like, holy shit, right, okay, now I'm like enticed by this side of the story and stuff as well. It's really good. But that's when Ash was like, I can't do another one, and it's like 10:30. By the time this one finishes, it'll be 11:30 and we need to go to sleep, and I won't be able to sleep. Please watch something else. And I was like, yeah, no worries. So we'll put something else on. So we started flicking through Netflix, and I was like, what is it you want to watch? And she was like, something that I don't really have to pay that much attention to, and something that's not going to be like, you know, so intense at the end of it. I'm just like, oh my God, I can't sleep. And I was like, do you want to watch this? It's supposed to be quite good, and it's trending number 1 at Netflix at the minute. And then she was like, ooh, a film about parents. Yeah, let's watch that, because that's my jam.
I'm guessing this was a bad idea, right? It's probably uplifting at the end, yeah?
Yeah. So it is. And the thing is, the film is brilliant.
Yeah.
And it didn't affect Ash anywhere near as much as it has affected me. And it's weird in that aspect. I think because obviously it's called Fatherhood, and it's about Kevin Hart, who right at the beginning, he's telling a bit like he's at his wife's funeral, and he's basically just saying, you know, like she was too young to go, and, you know, at least we've been left with this beautiful baby. And he starts regaining little bits of tale, and that's how you get the backstory of those two. But it's just him saying, like, at the beginning, like, I was not ready for this. Like, I don't know how to do this. And he's got to try and find a way to look after the baby, like his child, and bring his child up. But her mum and dad wanted to just take the kid back with them and say, we're going to look after it. You can't do it. We don't basically trust you. And he's like, no, I'm going to step up. I'm going to do this. I'm going to look after the kid. And it's hard, because like, when we went through the stage when Oliver was little and he was crying his eyes out and Ash was just passed out because she was so knackered, that I was like, I don't know how to do this. And it was trying to cope with how to keep them entertained, quiet, why they're crying, don't know, tried everything, oh my God, what do I do? And it was bringing all those sort of things back where I was like, holy shit, I remember all of that. And it's like difficult. And then it hit the stage where he's just chatting to his mates around, like having a beer while she's asleep. And he's like, I can't do this. I'm not good enough to do this. And he's like, I don't want to quit, but at the same time, I can't provide for her the way that I really want to. And I'm like, I had that exact same situation. And his mates were like, listen, the baby's happy, she's clothed, she's fed, she's got a roof over her head, anything she wants, she's been given. Like, you're doing an amazing job. And he's like, I just don't feel it. And I was just sat there, just fucking literally near enough having like the Thames River down like underneath me, because I'm just like, fucking hell. It proper got me. And then when I was like, you know what, actually, it's nice when you see how well they're progressing. It's really nice. And then stuff happens and you just end up just going like, fucking hell. And like proper bawling my eyes out of it. But I really enjoyed it. Didn't think I would, but I 1,000,000%, I think, because I attached to it so much.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, I recognize that. Yeah. 100% recognize that.
Oh, I can imagine any parent is going to really sort of see themselves in it.
Yeah, really is. And it was a really good watch. I mean, it'll be a fun watch for people that don't have kids, because it's just like, it's a good, like a nice story.
Yeah, but it's an emotional watch.
But it is an emotional watch, and if you're a parent, then yeah, it's a hell of a watch, like a roller coaster. To be fair,
have you seen Instant Family? I think that's on Netflix as well.
Not yet. No, it's on the watch list.
Yeah, that I mean, that's from a different perspective in that it's about fostering a family of kids, but that's kind of similar by the sounds of it. But that was good. I'm not even sure I can think of a single Marky Mark film that I actually like, but that one was quite good. Yeah, but I don't know. Well, Max Payne was good. I'm joking. I'm completely joking. Don't hate me, right?
I was going to say, this call is about to be cut short. Very short.
It's on Disney Plus now. Everyone can watch it. Yeah, speaking of Disney Plus, are you up to date on Loki?
I am. Although by the time this comes out, the next one will be on. So
true.
That's the only annoying thing with them now moving, because apparently they're going to move all their shows to Wednesdays now.
Right.
Any new show that's coming out episode wise is going to start coming out on a Wednesday now, which is annoying. Because at least when we talked about it, it was like, oh, it's quite relevant for a few days.
7 on Friday.
It's like,
well, but it's relevant. But we obviously it's good to avoid spoilers on these sorts of things for a little bit anyway. But I saw the two most depressing words that I ever see whenever I'm watching a Marvel TV series is a mid-season trailer. Now, so they always sort of edit a nuance together with a little bit of a tease about what's coming and what has happened. It's just the fact that they are now acknowledging this is mid-season. We're only 3 episodes in. So this is a 6-episode series.
Oh, wow. I thought we at least had 8.
Yeah, I know. But they've all been 40, 50 minutes, haven't they? They've all been, they haven't been the sort of the 30 minutes like... I mean, even I think a couple of episodes of Falcon and Winter Soldier were sort of 30, 35 minutes, I think. I could be wrong, but, yeah, it's just a bit depressing. But then I think that means that What If is coming next, if I remember right. It'd be interesting to watch. Something that is just standalone episodes and stories and don't really matter. But what are you thinking of Loki so far?
First 2 didn't really grab me. To be honest, the first one was it's all right. The
second one was very talky, wasn't it? It was very like him and Owen Wilson just sort of getting to know each other for a lot of it.
Yeah, and the third one was really good. But the first 2, I had the same issue as what I'm going to have with Black Widow, where I'm like, it's that none of this is important because they're dead. So it's like it's not going to affect it. Well, although this one is, and I like the way that this is introducing the multiverse and like the timelines and everything's coming through. So the story-wise, this is appealing to me a lot more than some of the others. Which
you know that it will have some sort of bearing. I mean, I feel like Black Widow is going to as well. I mean, like the rumors are that her sister will be the new Black Widow. So we'll see how that turns out. And I forget what the character's name is, but David Harbour from Stranger Things, like they're introducing his superhero alter ego as well, whether he'll come through it in anything else, but it's another character to add to it. So I don't know, I'm a little bit more interested in that, just to see what impact it's going to have on the future stuff, and it gives us a bit more of an insight into what happened during the blip or whatever they call it.
Yeah, I'm also liking the fact that apparently the ending to WandaVision post-credit
was the next thing I was going to segue into. Yeah, but
I know it's not by much, but not yet. But he's only just done a little bit now to affect stuff.
Well, do you just? Oh, what? Okay. So do you think it's changed because things have impacted
Yes.
Wow. Okay, that's interesting. I've not seen that theory. I just saw that. I mean, people didn't really have any theory other than maybe it was to get sort of tease Doctor Strange, because there's like it's really stupid. I don't understand why they've changed bits, because all they've seemed to have changed is put more trees in and edited out a duck. And, it just seems very strange to later go, oh, yeah, we need to alter that and, make this a bit better. And I know they've done that with stuff previously. They've sort of altered things, but it was fixing mistakes. It was like when the coffee cup was on the table in Game of Thrones. And then like about 2 days after that got discovered, the on-demand version, the coffee cup was gone. So, they've paid someone to go in and digitally edit it out. But this was done and this was fine. So people seem to be, I think, clutching at straws to find out, right, maybe it's this, maybe it's that. And the fact that they see this little weird, like glowing abnormality that sort of comes down from the top left corner, but it's just someone's sort of wound it back and had a look at what it's replacing. And it's just when you're editing videos, a thing called a mask, which is just something like it's almost like a band-aid you can put over something. So it'll just be something to alter what's under it, but they haven't removed it. It's supposed to be there to hide a little bit of a glare from the sun. And so it's there at the start, but then as the camera moves, it stays in the same place. But people see that and it looks like a sort of like a ghosted figure floating down. And everyone's like, it's Doctor Strange, definitely Doctor Strange. Doctor Strange is there, he's coming. But it's But that's really interesting what you just said, because that actually would explain some things. I mean, I don't know why it would explain why there's more trees, but it would explain why they've changed it. And I wonder if they're going to change anything else. That's really interesting.
Well, that's what I thought, but now obviously you've been talking about the way that they've been doing the editing and stuff. It might just be to get a bit more clarity on the scene and not take away from stuff or whatnot. But I just think because
honestly, what takes away from it? A duck. A duck is taking away from the attention from what happened, because no one even noticed that there was a tiny little speck of a duck in the lake, or just not many trees about. I don't understand
why they've removed it and added more trees.
But why? I do not get it. Why they've decided?
I think they need to come out and be a little bit more like, "Hey guys, don't think anything about this." But obviously they won't, because they love all the attention this is now getting, 100%. And people are going to go back and rewatch it and go through it, see if anything else is changing and whatnot. So it'll be very interesting. It's like, who paid that close attention to it to realise that the duck was missing? Like, why have you watched it and then gone, hang on a minute?
I think it's only been noticed because of that the weird glowy thing that is in the top corner. I think someone's watched it and gone, what's that? And then they've compared it and then noticed that it's not there in the original, then also noticed, hang on, there's more trees. Hang on, that duck's not there anymore. Howard the Duck confirmed, MCU Phase 4.
Could you imagine?
Definitely. That's it.
Unless they took the duck out, because like fucking hell, people are going to start saying that's Howard the Duck. Right, we need to remove it.
Yeah, which brings more attention to it, and then there you go. Too late. You've become a victim of what you were trying to hide.
If only. If only. I do want Howard the Duck.
Definitely. But yeah, while we're on Marvel, have you seen that Lego they've been releasing a new sort of line of Marvel stuff? They're doing the Infinity Saga.
Oh, so really?
Yeah. So, and basically, it's just an excuse to go back and release some sort of key moments. And there's like a new Hulk Buster you can get. There's you can get the Guardians of the Galaxy ship. Some sets they've not released before anyway. But some of the new ones, the one in particular looks amazing. And it also, I don't know whether it's whether it's just the name they seem to have picked for it, or whether this is the official Marvel name for the character. But obviously Thor in Endgame was Fat Thor, right? But it's not Fat Thor, it's Bro Thor. Because let me try and find the page. There we go. Bro Thor New Asgard set. And basically it is a little diorama. It's only little, it's like 25 quid it's going to be, but it's like the corner of the living room in the house that he has in New Asgard, where him and Korg sat and Meek sat there playing video games. So it's literally that. So it's essentially I'll send you a picture of it. It's you've got the couch and the three of them are sat there. You've got the TV, they're all in game pads, and it's got all the stuff on the wall, Trident, all the pizza on the floor. It just looks awesome. It's just a really cool little set. But yeah, they're calling it Bro Thor.
Nice.
And we do know now that Lego are absolutely beholden to Disney, and Disney telling them what to call things. Because have you seen the new ship they've done they've released 3 new Mandalorian sets. And one of the sets is Boba Fett and his ship.
They've taken away the Slave One reference, haven't they?
They've asked them to not call it Slave One anymore. They've asked them to just call it Boba Fett's Starship.
Yeah. Apparently they're going to do that in number 2 as well, in the Mandalorian season 2.
I mean, they'll probably just
Slave One anymore.
I can't imagine that they'll even reference it. I think they're just going to move on from it. Let's just never, because it's not like is it printed on the ship? If it is, it's probably in a Star Wars language that we don't understand. And at what point did they even? At what point did they even name it? I don't think anyone. Is it spoken in any of the original trilogy?
I cannot remember, mate. No. If I'm honest.
So I mean, someone needs to go back through the movies on Disney Plus and see if they've edited out the mention of Slave One. Wouldn't surprise me if it was mentioned.
Yeah, definitely.
I don't know, but yeah, it's. I know the internet's up in arms about it. Well, 50-50, isn't it? There's 50% going. Yeah, great. What's the point in even saying it if it doesn't trigger that small memory of this horrible period? Let's edit it out. How's it hurting anyone? And then the other's going, nothing's sacred. First you pull down the statues. Next, you rename a starship in a movie that I'm obsessed about, but I have no real stake in.
Yeah,
that's the world. But yeah. Anyway, yeah, you saw the picture of the Lego set, right?
I did.
Does look awesome.
Very good.
It's really good and detailed, and I like that there is a little Meek minifigure. I mean, even the Korg's awesome, but seems it's not higher res. But anyway, yeah, that's all I had to say about that. About Lego. Do you know what apparently is apparently really good and awesome now and completely fixed?
Cyberpunk, apparently.
Supposedly, yeah. 6 months after release, they're saying it is now actually ready. Because it's gone back into the PlayStation Store now, right?
Yeah.
But it has a warning on it saying this may not run as expected on a PlayStation 4. We recommend you use a Pro or a 5.
And then the thing is, you might as well just wait for the next gen or the current gen version now.
Yeah, it is
so long.
It's not. It is still so. A lot of games you buy the PS4 or the Xbox One versions, and then you get the Series X, or you get the PS5 version, like as a free download or whatever, a free upgrade. But this hasn't had that version released yet, right? It is just like playing the PS4
it is just
version.
A slightly increased one, but not to the stage where they actually go, because they are releasing the current gen versions of the actual game. So like, we'll just do something to help, pass the time a little bit for you guys, but we're going to release it properly soon.
Yeah, which makes it doubly bad that the actual console it's intended for can't handle it.
Yeah, that's the thing, which is just, it's so frustrating. The thing is, it was an enjoyable game, and I only got a certain bit up to it, and now the crazy thing now is the fact that I just found out that the last series, Keeping Up the Kardashians, has been on, so we've got 20 episodes of that to get through, and Love Island started.
Oh yeah.
So I was like, now would be a time for me to actually set the laptop back up again and start playing on that. Mm-hmm. And then as I'm saying that to Ash, I'm like, you know what, I'm going to start playing on laptop. I just found myself going over to grab the Switch and bringing the Switch over to the to the couch, and carried on playing Divinity 2.
Yeah.
Which I am right near the end of now, and I'm so upset because I genuinely don't want it to end. It's gone from a game that I just really enjoyed to a game that I couldn't stop thinking about, to a game that's definitely up there in my top 5 favorite games of all time. It's just such a great title. And I was speaking to Mike over it, and he was like, "Oh, that's different to my one. Oh, that's different. Oh no, I didn't do that.
Oh no, it's all different." Yeah.
And it's so different. And I'm like, you know what? Instead of carrying on with Cyberpunk, I'm just going to do another playthrough. I'm going to do a different playthrough and play it all completely different, and just see what it's like. But,
to be fair, I mean, on a much lower scale, but that's what I did with Detroit. I finished it and immediately wanted to play it again, just so I could do a different direction on it, and it did change. So sometimes that's a sign of a good game, and it sounds like Cyberpunk could be like that if they just. I mean, the problem is if it had worked from the get go, then by this point we might have had all these little improvements and upgrades to get it to how they sort of promised in terms of actual gameplay, not just about the fact whether it runs or not, but things like all the things that are missing, and the patches probably would have been able to address that sort of stuff. But because they've had to spend all this time making sure that it plays, the game still hasn't improved as a game, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
And I think we're still at least 6 months off having any kind of DLC for it. And like you're saying, it's a great game. I've heard exactly that. It just, I know it needs, or at some point there's going to be a lot of improvements to it, not just in making it run. But by then, like you say, we'll have a PS5 version, we'll have an Xbox Series X version.
Yeah, and that's the thing. But the thing is, now the hype has well and truly gone for it. So any sales they were going to have or will have, I think is well and truly tarnished.
Yeah, I feel like it will until I don't know. I mean, time will tell. But when the PS5 and Series X versions get released, I still think they're probably going to be big sellers, but maybe not to the extent they might have been. Yeah,
it's just I was quite lucky where anyone who's played on the PC is so lucky, because
or Stadia apparently really good on Stadia, the
best version.
Yeah,
weirdly, but console owners have been burnt. So unless it goes down in the sale, I can't see it doing massively well on the console front now. So it is a shame, because it was, like I said, it was fun, and there's multiple endings and playthrough styles you can go through with that as well. So it is quite entertaining. But it's just not entertaining enough to pull me away from other things. It's like now we're even contemplating about just getting Baldur's Gate 3 and jumping straight onto that instead of carrying on with Cyberpunk.
It's fair enough.
Is ridiculous, because I was so looking forward to Cyberpunk, and I started playing it and really enjoying it. I just can't bring myself. I know there's like a 16 gig update or something for it, and I'm like,
but I guess if you spend your time playing it now, will you want to jump back into it again later on when they've added so much more to it? Because it's pretty much guaranteed that once they have actually fixed it, although they say that they've fixed it now and they're going to be spending time on updating other parts of it, the game's going to be, if you look at the game in 5 years' time, it's going to be drastically different by the sounds of it, with all the extra stuff they'll bring in and all the extra missions and everything. So do you want to spend your time now playing it just to replay it later with a bit extra?
For most people, I would probably say hang fire until you wait till you get the extra bits. But for me, I just want to burn through it, see an ending because I started it, and then never play it again.
Okay, all that. Did you replay Shenmue 3 once they added the extra DLC?
Yeah, I did it for the story DLC, not for the racing DLC. I've got it.
Fair enough.
But I just don't have a PS4 to play on.
That's true. Yeah. Yeah. Well, you were talking about finally getting time to sit and play something like Cyberpunk on your laptop, but you just pulled out, you wouldn't get Baldur's Gate, or you pulled out Divinity. I've been just using my new tablet to go on a bit of a retro gaming spree. And I mean, the first thing was I got Scum VM booted up on it and bought a bunch of the old LucasArts games and the old Sierra games that I didn't have on, like GOG and stuff. So I've been playing Space Quest and Monkey Island, and it's been just great. And like I've had them on tablets before, and we both had it on the Scum on our phones, right? But
you did.
You need a mouse to make the most out of these games, because you need the left click and the right click, otherwise it's a little bit of a pain. The tablet I have as a pen, it's one of the Samsungs that has an S Pen, and the S Pen has a button on it, and the button basically is your right click. And the nice thing is, it's if you hover over the screen and don't touch the screen, it shows you the cursor. So you see the little mouse cursor moving around. It's only when you actually touch the screen that it then responds. So it is like having a mouse that you can touch the screen with. It's brill. So playing all those is really good. It really works well. But then I was like, I wonder what else this can run. So I downloaded like an emulator front end, excuse me, called RetroArch, which just has loads of different cores, which are different emulators that you can download. So I downloaded a bunch and then thought, let's just try some games. And I started off on some Game Boy Advance games. Golden Sun worked beautifully. Although it looks really old on a big tablet screen instead of my 1.5-inch Game Boy Micro, but never mind. And then let's go a bit more modern day, and I downloaded the Dreamcast emulator. Excuse me. Got Shenmue 1, but I got the there's like an edited version where they've taken the Japanese voice acting and put it onto the subtitled version, but also fixed a few little bits, like brought the Coca-Cola cans back in, so you don't have Jet Cola now. You have the Coca-Cola cans just like you did in the Japanese version, and put that on, and that runs amazingly. You can connect up a PlayStation controller to it. I've got Skies of Arcadia. I can't wait to get back into that. Nice. Again, that works great. I was just going through all the games. The only game that won't run, I didn't realize, the Dreamcast apparently had its own operating system, but then it also ran Windows CE, which was like that was what a lot of little computers would run. It's like a cut down version of Windows, and apparently the point of that was so publishers could easily port their stuff from PC over to Dreamcast. Mm-hmm. So there's quite a lot of games that use that, but apparently that's really hard to emulate. So even like some fairly big games, like all the Tomb Raiders they released ran on Windows CE because they were just ports of the PC version. But the biggest one that I really, really wanted to try out was, Denture to Go, the train simulator?
All right.
Like ever since playing that in an arcade cabinet in Japan, I've even looked at getting the plug into your TV version, which is literally the full controller. You plug, and the game is built into it, and you just plug it into the HDMI on the TV, and you can play it from there. But it's a lot of money. It's about 150 quid to import. But yeah, that's available to download, and I tried it. It just won't work. Cannot get it to work. Really devastated. But at least I've got like Marvel vs. Capcom. I've got Rival Schools. I've got Jet Set Radio. All these things. And they run amazingly. I got Headhunter, yes. I got Headhunter. That's great. Yeah. In fact, I started playing that and I forgot that there was like a full FMV, not just regular cutscenes. It was proper video cutscenes, wasn't it? Of the TV. the TV news channel. It's just an underrated game. Even the second one, I didn't mind. But I haven't tried PlayStation 2 games yet. I'll need to set that. GameCube won't run, unfortunately. They're a bit too jerky. But yeah, it's amazing what you can do nowadays.
Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it?
And I do own all these games, just for the record. I have physical copies at my dad's, so I don't mind downloading them. But it's amazing what you can do on modern stuff. Especially just hook up your PlayStation controller to it and you're away. It's great. It's so good. But yeah. But that's me. I can sit on the couch now while the other half wants to watch Drag Race, and I can just play a bit of Jet Set Radio.
Very nice indeed.
Yeah.
I really want to just go back and do a retro day now, to be fair, and just play all the old school stuff.
That's it. I need to work out how to plug the tablet into the TV next. I didn't realize as well that the old PlayStation Classic that they released a couple of years ago, apparently that's so easy to hack and stick on any of these emulators. So then you've got this really nice, easy thing you can just plug into your TV.
Mm-hmm. Same with all the old mini consoles, to be fair. The same as like the SNES and the NES and stuff. All of them are so easy just to hack and stick on. So that's what loads of people do on the gaming pages I follow. Is like, look what I've had now. And you've had like the MAME arcade emulators and all that sort of stuff as well.
Amazing.
But you won't be able to get away with saying, I own that one. Because the arcade you own in like 15 different arcade machines in your flat. I'm like, where did you put them? In my dad's garage. Ah, right, yeah, cool.
We'll finish off with just one little story about something that should have been exciting, but is actually kind of really depressing because now it's not happening. But the Mass Effect movie has apparently been completely cancelled. Yeah. I feel like until the Legendary Edition was announced and got released, and suddenly everyone loved the game again, I was almost confused that they would do a movie, because it felt like it had lost its appeal. But now the Legendary Edition's out and it sold so well, and everyone's really, really excited for whatever the next version's going to be. Sounds like now would be the time, but then they decided a movie's no good, so they've cancelled it. But the silver lining is that it's the only reason they're cancelling it is because they think a movie's not going to be enough. So they're looking at turning it into a TV series instead, which seems to be the way that a lot of stuff's going. They've got the Last of Us TV series, Fallout's coming to HBO, isn't it? I think. Oh no, Amazon's got Fallout.
Yeah,
Netflix's got Assassin's Creed. So
it's one that hopefully it does get picked up, because trying to tell any sort of lore or any story in the Mass Effect universe in like a 2-hour film is nigh on impossible. TV series, fantastic. You can stretch out. You can set in any sort of area you want.
Look at The Witcher. Look at how well that did.
Exactly, yeah. So that could be really good. So initially, obviously, that got pulled down, but they're hoping they're going to try and be able to sort of bring it back again and adapt the story into another way of doing this. So hopefully, if they can bring it into a TV show, then that would be great, because I'm excited for the Last of Us one, and not so much for the Fallout, just because how much I love Fallout.
Yeah, fair enough.
And just quickly, while we're on the subject of Fallout, unfortunately, the dog who was based around dog meat has sadly passed away this week. The dog was called River, and he was part of the design team's mascot's pets. He brought him into the office, and they changed the character and everything all around dog meat and made him River.
Is that from Fallout 3?
Story from 3 and 4.
All right, okay.
So yeah, poor old dog meat. I used to love hate dog meat.
Thanks for depressing us, Reg. You've been listening to the Nerd OD podcast. Yeah.
But yeah, I'll be interested in a Mass Effect series, to be fair.
Yeah, me too. And I get like video game movies for some reason don't tend to do very well, right? Like is that reason though that the audience that are the fans are either gonna be so adamantly against it, or are going to go and watch it because they love the thing? So you've got one section of people who go and see it, but then everyone else it's just like, oh, I don't know anything about the game. I'm not going to bother going to watch it. So at least with a TV series, you know, you've not really got that much investment. You've not got to take a night to go to the cinema to go, I'm going to watch this one film.
I think it's the subject matter more than anything, because look at how fucking stupidly well the Resident Evil films did. Like, they had no right to earn that much, because
I think they only did well because they were low budget, though. Because it's not like they did amazing. Like they didn't make a lot of money. They just made more money than they cost to make. And the budgets were generally sort of, 30, 40 million, which is very low for a Hobbit movie. So, yeah, I know exactly what you mean. It is really surprising that they got to, was it 6 in the end? I don't know. Yeah. Oh, Monster Hunter's out now, isn't it? Monster Hunter's out.
Hasn't that been and gone already?
Probably. I know. I saw that it was on the listings last week.
Right. Okay. Yeah, that's one I've definitely got no interest in, despite it having Tony Jaa in it. I fucking love Tony Jaa. I can't believe that he's in it.
Yeah, one Mia Jovovich kind of cancels out one Tony Jaa.
Yeah, I've got no interest. I watched a video on IGN of how well does Paul Anderson, W.S. Anderson or whatever it is called, know Monster Hunter. Right. So they're like, okay, explain the world. And he's like, oh, yes, well, and he went into this huge, 15-minute, conversation about how much he really knows of the world. And he gets the name of the place wrong. He gets how you get there wrong. He gets, so much of it wrong. Despite the fact he starts off going, I've been a huge fan since I've started playing it at this age on this machine. And then starts going through. And then he describes the characters, the monsters in it. And he's going through the monsters saying, you need to have this. And you can't have this because this is the end one. And you can't have that without that one. And he gets everything in the wrong orders. And he just gets everything completely wrong about it. And then he's like, so go watch our film. I'm like, right. So despite the fact you've just literally spent 20 minutes and you've had these questions prepped, and you've had these questions prepped because you're constantly looking at the questions and then looking back at a screen where this is what my script was for me to say. Mm-hmm. You've still managed to fuck it up. It's just mind-blowing how bad people can be.
It is, but then it isn't, based on his track record.
Yeah, but it's not. If you were going to ask me questions, if I knew I had a set of questions about something I was doing, I'd make sure I do my research to make sure it's right, especially when it's going to be watched by millions of people or potentially watched by millions of people. I'd be like, right, I need to make sure I'm 100% accurate on this before it goes out. And he just never bothered. He was like, yeah, sod it. So it's just mind-blowing how bad it was. So yeah, I've got no interest in that.
But isn't it? I mean, it's really weird and depressing that he, I don't know whether you're a fan of
projects.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But he directed Event Horizon, which is an amazing horror sci-fi movie, and it just there's all these films that you just think, all right, this sets this person, this is going to be great, and then suddenly, he decides to do Resident Evil, AVP, Death Race,
Yeah.
He directed The Three Musketeers. That makes sense. Oh, have you seen that they've done a
D'Artagnan?
Yeah. No. It's just when we went to see Cruella last week, and the trailer was on that, and I was like, I can't believe they've done a D'Artagnan, and the theme tune's playing all the way through the trailer. I'm like, wow, this just throws me right back. But it's one of those, it's just the worst, most jankiest CGI you'll ever see. Must have cost about 20 quid. Someone's put it together on Blender. But it's just no. Oh, we did Pompeii as well. Why do they keep giving him these budgets? So I'm going through his IMDb.
Right.
Pompeii was the one with Thingy out of Kit Harington. Yeah. Oh jeez. Yeah. Monster Hunter. Future projects, working on fancy novel awarded man. Well, that's good. There's no more video game movies. I mean, he directed the first Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, which is one of my guilty pleasures. Yeah, that's why I don't. Mortal
Kombat, Event Horizon, and then you've got Resident Evil, AVP, Resident Evil Apocalypse, DOA, the Dead or Alive movie, Resident Evil Extraction, Death Race, Resident Evil Afterlife, Death Race 2, Resident Evil Retribution, Death Race 3, Pompeii, Resident Evil Final Chapter, Death Race. Monster Hunter. Yeah. Anyway, that's a. I mean, it's still a low to go out on, but it's not quite dead dog low. So we'll leave it at that.
Mine was a poignant story. Yours was just like
it was.
Check out Paul W.
R.I.P. Buster or whatever he was called.
River.
Sorry. Right. Thank you for listening.
And thank you for having us.
Yep. See you next time.
Toodles.
Bye.